Hello, good morning. I'm Alicia, author of the book Don't Be a Stranger, Creating Connections and Memorable First Impressions in Everyday Life. And one of the things I absolutely love to do on this channel is just share insights and personal development nuggets that I love along the course of my own personal journey. And so today I'm actually going to be sharing not from my book, which by the way, if you are looking for it, it is on Amazon, also in your retail stores. That's what it looks like. So if you want to take a look, I would love for your support. Okay, this book that I'm reading from today is called For Women Only by author Shanti Feldon, and it is fabulous. So it's ideally, I think the intention is for it to be a relationship book to help the connection and relationship communication patterns in romantic couples, but truly I think it can help any male-female dynamic in your life, you know, whether it's parent-child, colleague, romantic, or what have you. So the subtitle is What You Need to Know About the Inner Lives of Men. And I love the way the author speaks to this topic in a really dignified, gracious, and kind way that's informative and enriching as far as what relationships really truly can morph into. So I'm just going to read you a few excerpts that I marked as really just insightful, and I think something that a lot of people could really benefit from hearing. Most are things that the man in your life wishes you knew, but doesn't know how to tell you. And in many cases, they're things he has no idea you don't know. One of the pieces here that she writes is, if you are looking for male bashing or proof that your husband is indeed a cad, you won't find it here. And so she uses boyfriend, partner, husband, and you please use that interchangeably as far as whatever the context of your relationship is. I love the fact that the author is setting the tone for positive vibe. This is not a place for criticism. This is not a place to say, oh, and my partner, my husband, my hubby, and to go into bashing mode, but instead the whole intention here is to understand, to show compassion, and to gain a different perspective, right? So the more we understand the men in our lives, the better we can support and love them in the way they need to be loved. So very much like the love languages concept. Chapter 2 begins with, your love is not enough. Men would rather feel unloved than inadequate and disrespected. While this may seem foreign to us, and many would know that we as women oftentimes feel that our highest need is to feel loved, and truly to feel loved for our good, bad, and ugly, right? For men, however, it's to be respected. The male need for respect and affirmation, especially from his woman, is so hardwired and so critical that 3 out of 4 men would rather feel unloved than disrespected or inadequate. Many men had a hard time answering the unloved versus disrespected question. And finally, the light bulb came on, the author says. A man equates the two. If he feels disrespected, he will also feel unloved. If you want to love your man in the ways that he needs to be loved, then you need to ensure that he feels your respect most of all. The funny thing is, most of us do respect the men in our lives, but too often it turns out our words or actions convey exactly the opposite without our ever intending it. So she then goes into a subsection of a disrespect barometer. How do you know if you're going down that fine line? How do we know we've crossed the disrespect line? Thankfully, there is an easy barometer, and that is our men's anger. But Dr. Emerson Eggerichs, author of the groundbreaking book Love and Respect, writes, in a relationship conflict, crying is often a woman's response to feeling unloved, and anger is often a man's response to feeling disrespected. He won't necessarily blurt out something helpful like you're disrespecting me, but you rest assured, if he's angry at something you've said or done and you don't understand why, there is a good chance that he is feeling the pain or humiliation of your disrespect. I feel like what is so empowering about this book is it reminds us of the control and the power that we have to create the realities we want. So it's easy to focus on, well, he should just be different, but that's not realistic and that's not practical. Instead, what can we do? How do we keep repeating the same dynamic in our own life? If we're 100% accountable for everything we say and do and for the reality that we create, then that is so empowering because it means we can always also shift it. So just as you need the man in your life to love you unconditionally, even when you're not particularly lovable, your man needs you to demonstrate your respect for him, regardless of whether he's meeting your expectations at the moment. So we've come to think that love should be unconditional, but respect must be earned. Instead, what men need is unconditional respect. So to be respected for who they are, apart from how they do. Often women will naturally say, I love you, but at the same time want to control things. Well, unfortunately, men tend to interpret this as disrespect and distrust, which it sometimes is. It does tremendous things for your man to know that you are choosing to respect him. In other words, choosing to trust, appreciate, admire, believe in, and honor him. It's a choice. But your choice to show him respect can change your feelings. In fact, your choice to show respect can transform your entire relationship. Just a one-sided choice. So again, it brings us back to the power that we carry, right? So me choosing to do or think something differently will completely potentially transform the entire context and future of a relationship. So it's not real unless you show it. Men do recognize deep down that their mates respect, value, and appreciate them, but the problem is their wives don't necessarily show it outwardly or even know how. Most women appreciate it when a husband says, I love you, but as I discovered pretty quickly, it doesn't do it for a guy to hear his wife coo, oh, honey, I respect you so much. He does need to hear, honey, I'm so proud of you. I trust you and thank you for what you did. Demonstrating through your day-to-day actions that you do truly respect him often means more than words. Men's comments revealed 6 key needs. So I'll just run through those and then we'll wrap it up and I'll let you read the rest of the book on your own. Need 1, respect his judgment. The men were really touchy about this. A man deeply needs the women in his life to respect his knowledge, opinions, and decisions, what I would call his judgment. But many men wished their mates wouldn't question their knowledge or argue their need for us to defer to them sometimes is very high. Calling on his knowledge in a given subject. Sadly, though, many men confess that they felt as if their opinions and decisions were actively valued in every area of their lives except at home. Isn't that a sad statistic? They feel valued everywhere else in their life except at home. Comrades at work trust their judgment more than their wives often seem to, asking and suggesting or collaborating on decisions instead. So show more trust in decision-making, in their decision-making abilities, which is code for them, I'm not stupid. So if you think about it, like when you're giving your man driving instructions, or instruction is the biggest example they give here, imagine the message you're sending is, I don't think you can do it for yourself. Whereas the man mentality as described by this book is, just let me figure it out, we'll get there. We might take longer, I might get lost a couple times, but let me get there, it's an adventure. And they want to believe that you believe they could slay the dragon and they can get you, conquer the kingdom with you, and they can get the pretty princess back home, right? And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. So need number 2 that men have, respect his abilities to figure it out for themselves. I'm gonna skip over some of these other pieces, but there's so much good stuff in here. Need number 3, respect what he accomplishes. Very few things are as powerful to a man as the feeling that he has tried something, accomplished it, and done it well, and someone noticed. Need number 4 is respect and communication. Some things just push a man's buttons or are painful. That goes beyond what we say and into how we say it. Need number 5, respect in public, the most fragile thing on the planet. How often are you standing around a group of ladies, or are you standing around with your friends and you're just teasing and joking around about your partner? And how often has your partner been standing there and overhears that? And this chapter really breaks down how excruciatingly painful that is to a man. Dozens of men told me how painful it is when their wives or girlfriends criticize them in public, put them down, or question their judgment in front of others. My wife says things about me in public and she thinks she's teasing, but I consider them torture. One married man said starkly, the male ego is the most fragile thing on the planet. We often think of this as male pride, but that isn't it. What is at stake is not his pride as much as his secret feeling of inadequacy as a male. There's a big difference between feeling prideful and feeling inadequate. And what happens in public is not that his inflated pride is brought down to ground level, but that something made him feel inadequate and humiliated as a man. Disrespect in public is so painful that a man will avoid it at any cost. Man, that's powerful to think about, right? If you think about it more of, he's feeling inadequate, he's feeling humiliated. are you as likely to say that thing that you think is funny, right? Just to bring him down a notch? I certainly wouldn't. And then finally, need number 6 is respect in our assumptions. Respect in our assumptions. Listen to what you say to him or assume about him over the next few days. You may be astounded at how often you assume something bad. So even when you say things like, have you done it yet? Inherent is our assumption that guys need the reminder that they are either incapable of remembering on their own, it's no wonder, or what they remember but need our prodding to do the job. They also go into talking about, not only does this feel like a message of I don't trust you, but sometimes men just have different priorities, and just because he's not doing it doesn't mean he doesn't care about you, but maybe it's not on his top list of priorities because you may not know the competing demands that are going on for him in his mind. So I'll leave you with that, but I really can't say enough about this. I was on a plane yesterday and I literally have read more than a third of the book, and it was such an easy, quick read. And it is so meaningful, and I feel like everybody should read this book and its partner book. So there's a for women only and a for men only by the same author. And I truly feel like if we all just kind of seek to understand each other a little bit more with compassion on our sides, not looking for validation of our frustrations. I think that's where we oftentimes go wrong, is we seek for validation that we're right instead of, hey, where have I got this wrong? 'Cause, you fall for this person, or you love this person, you care about this person for a lot of wonderful reasons. And over time, as frustrations build or pet peeves, pile up, sometimes it's easy to forget that. And I think that it's when we start to forget that things start to chip away and disintegrate. And so if we could all just remind each other to remain compassionate and remain positively focused, it can make such a transformative impact on all of our relationships, truly. So thanks for hopping on with me. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being a supporter. And I hope that you have an amazing weekend. Bye, everybody.